Yesterday was an absolute bloodbath in the field of search engine optimization. Google is going hard, cleaning AI junk, cleaning AI generated text, cleaning that out, and issuing a lot of manual penalties. I want to read a very short article about what has happened in the last 48 hours. And if you are considering putting AI generated text into your websites for SEO purposes, this is an episode to listen to because it's actually, I've been doing SEO for a decade and I'm seeing this and I'm thinking this is crazy. And so this is worth paying attention to. So this is from SE Roundtable, seroundtable.com. I read this every day. I think this is the best place to get search engine optimization news. So here we go. Google has unleashed tons of manual actions, search ranking penalties you can see within Google Search Console after releasing its search spam policy updates on Tuesday. The manual actions seem to mostly have been distributed yesterday, Wednesday, a day after Google announced the new spam policy changes. So SEOs was trending on Twitter yesterday. Everyone was talking about this yesterday. People were really talking about this a ton yesterday. Google issues a manual action against a site when a human reviewer at Google has determined that pages on a site are not compliant with Google's spam policies. Most manual actions address attempts to manipulate the Google search index. Most issues reported will result in pages or sites being ranked lower or just completely omitted from search results without any visual indication to the user. All right, I want to read the message that people who are getting these manual penalties are receiving. They all get the same message. This is the message that they are getting. So if you go to Google Search Console, you can actually see manual penalties. And there's one and it says, it's called pure spam. The description: pages on this site appear to use aggressive spam techniques, such as automatically generated gibberish, cloaking, scraping content from other websites, and or repeated or egregious, they use the word egregious, violations of Google's spam policies for web search. And then it says effects. So what pages on the site does it affect? All pages. Affects all pages. But it gets even crazier. Someone shared 2 of my sites hit. One absolutely did not deserve it. Pretty obvious. They've been rooting through my Google Search Console looking for targets. I thought that keeping my site separate was only needed for Black Hat SEO. Not so, my mistake. So this person, 2 of her sites were hit. One apparently was not using spam tactics, but the other was. And because the other was, that got both of them hit. And actually, I came across this from Google, and Google put this in, and it said, creating or using multiple sites with the intention of continuing to violate our policies is against the rules, which explains why many people are reporting multiple sites connected to their Google Search Console being hit if one of them is doing something against the rules, such as AI generated text. This is another crazy tweet that I saw. This guy said, I love how people are shocked that the manual spam team used Google Search Console site registrar names, IP addresses, domain ownership, and history to route all of their spam network, claiming it's not fair after breaking every possible guideline of search on the engine you appeared on. So this is something I used to talk about all the time, and I just haven't brought up on the show as much. A lot of people think, so many of my friends are just complete idiots. And I told them, I said, you shouldn't do this. And they would say to me over and over again, I don't see how Google is going to catch me if I am putting in AI generated text. And they would say this. They would say, Google's not going to be able to detect it. As if these individuals with ChatGPT or some startup are going to be able to beat Google, who spends top dollar hiring the best computer scientists in the world. Come on. I never do Black Hat SEO because I'm in it for the long game. I'm in it for the long haul. And look what happens to these people who do it. Actually, in my entire career doing search engine optimization, I've never been hit on any of my sites with a manual penalty. Never. I think it's completely unnecessary. It's the same thing that I say on the rest of these episodes. Everyone looks for the shortcut and they spend so long looking for the shortcut, they would have been way better off if they just took the long cut. They were just consistent over time. This is from Lily Ray. She's another very respected SEO, very connected SEO, very respected SEO. And she said, and I completely agree with this, I wonder if or when The SEOs who hate me because I recommend playing the long game and avoiding SEO risks will realize that I was trying to prevent their sites from getting in trouble this whole time. Probably not. Let me continue and talk about how crazy this is, because it is still so crazy. Okay, I made a viral video about this and several podcasts about this. It was an app called this. The app still exists, Adify.app. Adify.app went from being created at the end of 2022, at the end of December 2022, to in less than a year ranking on Google for over 200,000 keywords. By the end of January, it was ranking on Google for 350,000 keywords. I ended up speaking to the founder of the company because I made these episodes on Adify.app. Adify.app, it's a Chrome extension that uses GPT to summarize YouTube videos, and each summary, which is made by the user, which is generated when the user asks for a generation, each summary then turns into a page on the site, and that page is indexed by Google. It has GPT fill in all the relevant metadata, so it's indexed by Google. And because of this, and because of a press push that they did to increase the authority of the website, they were ranking, by January, they were ranking for over 300,000 keywords. But what about now? What about now? Well, I looked at the site. All of that is removed. All of their SEO pages are removed. All of their rankings are removed. 350,000 rankings are removed, are gone. And all of their SEO pages, they're gone. They're gone from the footer. And I don't see them on the site. And when I tried queries and when I tried search terms that previously worked for them in the past, they don't work now. So it is a bloodbath out there. Here's another tweet. I want to share this one. Some SEOs are going to have a lot of explaining to clients over the next month. I don't envy them. Last time for me was 10 years ago. I still have PTSD from telling a board of 10 their business disappeared like the Hindenburg. Fortunately, I had the shaggy response at hand. It wasn't me. But that's really what's happening, because a lot of idiot individuals thought that they could outsmart Google. Come on. How are you as an individual going to outsmart Google? Now, there are people who are saying it can be done, and you might be listening to this and thinking, I can do it. So let's take the opposite side of this. Well, this is a guy who does the opposite side of it. His name is Charles Float. He's a popular black hat SEO on Twitter, and he has a SaaS startup, a software as a service startup that lets you make AI generated text for SEO. And he wrote a long post about this. He said, if you really think this is the end of AI SEO, you're very mistaken. This technology has only just gotten started, and all of my AI sites, which are heavily manually edited and have additional humanization sequences, are currently up or stable, still generating hundreds of % in ROI each day. And for bulk AI generation sites, well, it's just another stage of the arms race. Black hat SEOs are always the ones truly innovating in the field. And remember, we were the first ones to use AI and generated content first, back when Google was banning it in their guidelines and white hats were complaining it should be criminalized. With the next generation of image and video technologies, we are only going to see even deeper market penetration and much wider adoption, including far outside of this relatively tiny industry. So, he's biased because he has a company that makes AI generated text to beat Google. So he's not going to say his software doesn't work anymore. I wouldn't know. I don't use his software. But he does say that all of his AI sites are heavily manually edited. And if you start with a piece of AI generated text and then you heavily manually edit it, it might actually be okay. I don't do that because it's a lot of work to heavily manually edit something that is a piece of crap in the first place. I've done it, not with AI, but with other people, the guest writers who used to write for my site. And some of them would just write absolute garbage. This was many, many years ago. And I would have to edit it. And I would spend more time editing their absolute garbage guest posts than I would if I had just written a post myself in the first place. So yeah, I don't know. Can you beat Google with its billions of dollars invested in beating you? And if you think you can, I would just say be careful. Year after year, Google detects this type of stuff. Year after year, the people who think that they can outsmart Google, they get beat. And it hurts. And this one was especially bad. So some other people might say, well, the reason that Google was going and penalizing other sites, Other people have actually said this. Many people have said this. Google wants to make an example of these people to scare others into not doing it because Google knows and in the future they won't be able to detect AI-generated text. And so right now, while they still can, they're making an example of these bad actors so there won't be more bad actors in the future. You know what? Maybe that's true. And I'll tell you this, I don't want to find out. I don't want to find out. My sites are linked to Google Search Console. I have no interest in finding out. I suppose you could try to be completely anonymous. You could use separate IPs, separate computers, separate networks, separate emails verified by different SIM cards, which are not purchased using the same government ID. Like, you could go through all of that, and then maybe you'd be fine. I'm not trying to do that. Some people might. For some people, the ROI might be there. In fact, I could actually see how the ROI would be there. But I'll also say this, that's not a long-term play because eventually those sites will get caught. Eventually the quality will be bad. The websites will have low quality scores, and then just their pages won't perform well. I think it's a losing proposition. I always say this, I say this time and time again, you're better off investing in the long term. But if you thought about using AI-generated text on your website, this is what's happening now. I mean, I can't even tell you in the past couple of weeks or months how many people have messaged me asking, like, can I put AI-generated text on my site, just mass amounts of it? And I say no. And they're like, well, I think you're wrong. I think I can. That's why I seem so I told you so on this episode, because I did. I said I told you so to these people. And play the long game. That's my opinion. This is a crazy episode. It is crazy what is happening out there. Absolute bloodbath. I hope you enjoyed hearing about this or learning about this. Thank you so much for listening. This is episode 248 of The Edward Show. This is my daily growth hacking, growth marketing podcast. You know, using AI-generated text for SEO on websites, that was a growth hack, and it was. Thing is, like, Adify got in really early, and they probably got so many users because of this. And maybe they don't have to rely on SEO for the next year, but they have so many users and a huge email list, and for them it worked. But it's a different world out there now. And if you want to play the long game with SEO, best thing to do is to actually play the long game. And I talk on the show about all the white hat, all the within the rules things that you can do. Linkable assets, bottom of funnel SEO, which is super lucrative. So there's so many options out there. And I'm going to continue to talk about those lucrative white hat options. But also some of the crazy stories that I'll hear. I'll always talk about those. That's what this show is about. It's about all of that stuff. And I love sharing it with you. I love that you listen. And I thank you so much for being here with me. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.